In this video, I will talk about how to overcome validation seeking. So for many years, I've been contemplating about the judgment that we shouldn't seek validation from others and we should seek validation from ourselves. But with some NVC, nonviolent communication wisdom, I start to realize that, hey, this is a judgment in and of itself. And as per the wisdom offered by nonviolent communication, the wonderful thing to do would be to move away from judgment to observation. So basically, the question that would be more powerful would be, if we seek validation from within, would it actually make life more wonderful than if we seek validation from without, from the external world, from others, from our bosses, from our parents, etc.? So this would be the exploration of this video. So I want to sort of take a geeky approach to always start from first principles, as my friend Chris would say it. Let's start from the most geekiest self-evident truth. Existence exists. Voila. So it's Aristotelian philosophy, which leads to the statement, what is the purpose of us of a human being? On a biological level, we are here to survive. So it becomes an optimization problem on how to enhance and modify how to enhance and optimize our survival. So what comes to mind is the Maslow hierarchy of needs, going from sort of safety and all the way to identity, connection, and then identity, and then meanings, aka self-actualization. So I just sort of want to provide a framework of considering this. So once upon a time, you were born. Actually, just for more fun, let's imagine that you were a bird, okay? You were a birdie, and then you were born on day zero. You were totally dependent on the assistance of your parents or your elders to take care of yourself. By your inherent birdiness, then you can sort of know how to fly, because that is probably in your gene. I'm not a biologist, but that would be my guess. Yeah, I may back it up by some reference in below. But anyhow, then I would imagine that for most species of birdies, then your parents, your elders there will be someone in your in the bird community who would help you to fly better and to fly more wonderfully, and then they may give you advice. This is analogous to the human experience. We get advice of, you should do this, you shouldn't do that, you should do this, you shouldn't do that. So this is sort of like the internalized childhood experience that we can all relate to. Maybe your parents would have told you, hey, you shouldn't be eating too many candies. So in a way, you are sort of seeking the validation as a bird, as a human being. You're seeking validation from your parents to enhance the chance of survival. If you can't fly properly, you will not survive. If you eat too many candies, you will die from diabetes, or at least your lifespan will be shorter, and you will have a life full of diabetes and more than a health condition. So looking at the Maslow hierarchy of needs, when our sort of safety and basic is met, then sort of skipping the middle one for now, what we are longing for is to maximize our survival, is to optimize survival, would be to arrive at a state where we are independent. And to me, a hallmark of being independent as a bird or as a human being would be when we can survive independently, when we can have our self-esteem, when we can have our identity, etc. So the idea that I want to offer is actually this going up the Maslow hierarchy of needs is something which makes life more wonderful and make us survive in a more sustainable way. Wonderful. So at what point do we stop seeking validation from our parents, our others, and when we start to seek our internal validation, when we can indeed survive on our own? So I imagine looking around, people say, "Oh, I shouldn't seek external validation from the parents," but I can see so many emotionally immature adults. There's certain things they just haven't learned about how to handle their emotions, how to manage their emotions, how to behave, how to control their anger, and they're doing much worse than even their parents. So what I'm saying, what I'm inviting you to consider is the question is not we shouldn't seek external validation, but the question is when does seeking external validation becomes not useful for the purpose of having fun and making life more wonderful. And I also consider, okay, this is where I want to integrate my understanding from uh, various fields. Yes, this is it. Yes, so yes, so the idea that I want to offer is okay, at some stage we become independent, we've got some sort of self-esteem in most areas of our life, and then at that stage we can still choose to become dependent on someone to thrive, because as human beings we're not only here to survive, but we're here to thrive. So to thrive we need other human beings, we need a connection. You can see that in the Maslow hierarchy. I'm not saying that the Maslow hierarchy is self-evident, but that can be a separate video. And then, so yes, so the idea that I've brought up is key number one is to consider the power of interdependence. And two, the way that I invite you to consider thinking about validation, they can maybe because I'm a business geek and a mathematician, I like to see them as and a personal development junkie, and then you can see sort of your validation as validation projects, validation from our parents in terms of the way we act, the way we lead our family, the way we behave, the way we plan our life, etc. So the second sort of geeky idea that I want to introduce to you is the idea of smart validation project. So for example, let's say from our parents, um, in terms of the validation, one of them would be to be able to control our anger, and then your parents may tell you off by when you are not able to control your anger. In this case, it's a very very valid project to improve on the emotional management skill. So yes, so in this case I would say the smart goal would be specific, measurable, actionable, realistic, and time goal would be, yes, to be able to control our anger under how many minutes, in a way when words come out of our mouth, it doesn't jeopardize our professional and personal life. So you can sort of see, but then there are other cases when we have actually transcended, moved beyond the level of our parents and elders. Maybe they hold on to beliefs which are long gone and no longer in harmony with the needs of the current society. For example, the age to get married or a career choice, etc. So in this case, with our intellectual faculty, it is actually not wise to seek validation from our elders and our parents regarding these validation aspects. So the way that I like to dissect validation is to consist to look through the lens of the wheel of needs. And the way that I look at it is that validation to me is similar to the need of respect, where we can dissect into the need for admiration and value. And in the case of external validation, obviously, is to be admired and to be valued by the people that we are seeking validation from, aka our parents in this case, or elders, or whatever, colleagues, relatives. So, which because of this respect is very universal, because we want to matter as human beings, and we want to feel that we are worthy human individuals. And another idea that I want to offer you is to consider your worthiness as a Homo sapiens sapiens, as a human being, as a sentient being, 101%. Something completely not controversial. Just contemplate on that, because that you have got value as a human being and an existence as sentient beings, just because you are, just because you breathe, just because you have a soul. This soul is just a symbol of energy. It doesn't have to be religious. Okay? So, but then this is now then to the way that another few ideas that I want to offer, and I will stop this video at about 20 minutes, is there is also a danger when we continue seeking validation and improving ourselves, and when there is also a point when enough is enough. We all know people who could keep on improving themselves to a point of earning more and more money, to sort of feel that to justify and validate themselves with money. And we know that for those people, they are just in misery. So there is, just by some sort of general wisdom, you know that there is the phrase, enough is very, very wise. So there is a point of enough. So how do we sort of integrate it? The way I integrate it into my perspective on nonviolent communication is that just as it is a dance in life between autonomy and connection, it is actually a dance between validation and movement and projects and learning versus rest and meditation and acceptance. It's like the African tale of the two tigers inside of us. Is there's the dance between the two. So it's also to consider, yes, that this key is sort of enough is enough. So another idea that I want to offer you is the beauty of validation. If you look at validation in this sense, these are potential life enhancing, making life more wonderful ideas and strategies. So yes, consider the sort of the yin and yang, the stillness versus movement, the meditation versus amelioration versus improvement. And sometimes when we are sort of, maybe myself as well, when we have a resistance, rest, we kind of keep on learning and improving and making more money, making more resources, but sort of consider, what is the point? Are we just seeking validation from some internal figure unconsciously? Or is it really something that would make our life more wonderful? And the way that you know is to move away from your mind and to consider your feelings. And the gateway is to consider the sensations of your body. Then you know how you feel. Then you can consider and connect with the energy of needs. There you can be in touch with something sacred. This living energy of need, as one of my favorite NVC teacher, Robert Gonzalez, would say, is this sort of yin versus yang thing as well. And what I want to offer you is something even more deeper, is to consider the wisdom of the Tao Te Ching. The name which can be named is not the eternal name. And the concept which can be conceptualized is not the eternal concept. If we are stuck at thinking about labels and names, etc., we're stuck. We can't access truly our feelings, and so that we can't actually truly connect with our needs. And then whatever strategy that we come up with will not be so wonderful. So it's also a dance between our intellectual faculty and our feeling faculty, our emotional faculty. So yes, there's just a couple of final ideas that I want to offer you, is to consider sort of the validation project in your life, And then just consider them, break them down, dissect them into useful Go components. You can make them smart maybe because I'm a geek, but voila, it's okay. And then you can then even track them with KPI and key performance indicator. This is probably going a bit too far, but it resonates with me at my current stage. So, in summary, to consider interdependence, to consider smart validation projects Go, to consider that enough is enough when it actually is, and beauty the validation, when we sort of see the beauty and appreciate when we are seeking, we know that we are seeking external validation from our parents, from our boss, from a teacher, whoever. Consider whether it is actually serving us purpose. It may actually be, although I don't know, maybe 60% of the case it is not, but 40% of the case it is. So consider it as a gift, as the beauty of it. If you consider the beauty of it, there's no aversion to it. To move away from judgment to observation, feelings, needs, and requests and strategies, then your life will be more wonderful. At least that is my current conviction. So I invite you to consider the beauty of validation, the beauty of seeking to improve ourselves so that we can feel more higher self-esteem. Okay, so my exercise for you is to consider what validation project, what are you seeking validation for? And is it serving you a purpose? And you can only truly know if you move away from the intellectual faculty and to feel it in your body through your sensations. So I invite you to sort of to say a few things in the comments below, to comment whether my little mini speech resonates with you. But this is, I'm also learning as well. Yeah. And then, yes, on this note, I wish you a day and week and month and year full of compassion and love and joy and laughter. Namaste. Until the next video. So I have got a couple of requests as soft as the skin of a newborn of a newborn child. Yes, if you find this video useful, please subscribe. Voila. And I've got another request, as soft as silk. If you find someone can benefit from this video, then obviously send it to them. Okay, I'm just offering. Well, I'm reading the comments, but I don't really get it. Shoko, if you can rephrase it, maybe I can reply to you in a future comment. On this note, until next time, bye.